half a day and good afternoon. Many of God's blessings to all of us here, especially during this Easter week. Undankulu na situs masi to everyone for being here with us this afternoon. Today's date is Thursday, April 2nd, 2026. This afternoon's public hearing held by the Committee on Education, Libraries, and Public Broadcasting, and as acting chair, Ranking Member Senator Tina Rose Muñoz-Barnes, on behalf of Chairman Senator Vince Borja, I call this hearing to order at 2 o'clock. The time now is 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, there are some housekeeping matters that I will briefly discuss so that we can get right to work. And I want to say that the first notice of this public hearing was disseminated to all senators and media outlets on March 26, 2026, with the second notice disseminated on March 31st, 2026. Notices of this hearing, ladies and gentlemen, were also made available on the Candid News Group, the Guam Legislature's website, our legislative calendar, and the Government of Guam's public notice portal. Today's public hearing is being broadcast live on the Guam Legislature's YouTube channel, and the transcript will be filed with the Committee on Rules and be made available on the Guam Legislature website. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we will hear testimony on Bill number 252-38 COR as introduced by Senator Tina Rose Muñoz-Barnes, an act to amend Section 12106H of Chapter 12, Title 17, Guam Code Annotated, relative to increasing the cap on charter schools from 7 to 8 to advance career and technical education through the partnership with Guam Community College. Bill number 256-38 COR, as introduced by Senator Tina Rose Muñoz-Barnes, an act to amend Section 12106H of Chapter 12, Title 17, Guam Code Annotated, relative to increasing the cap on charter schools from 7 to 8 to advance tourism and hospitality, career, and technical education. And the third bill, which is Bill number 264-38 COR, is introduced by Senator Tina Rose Muñoz-Barnes, which is an act to amend Section 12106H of Chapter 12, Title 17, Guam Code Annotated, relative to increasing the cap on charter schools from 7 to 8 to advance early intervention and inclusive education, in that order. So at this time, I would like to now welcome my colleagues who are joining us here this afternoon in no particular order. I'll start with my right. Senator Sean Gumatauto, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Senator Joe San Agustin, thank you so much for being here. And also Senator Tello Tadagui, good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone in attendance of y Legislatura Guahan's general rules of conduct. Individuals testifying shall first be recognized by the chairperson before speaking and shall state their full name for the record. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of today's agenda only, and personal inferences to the character or motive of any senator or individual testifying are not permitted. And pursuant to Section 11.07 of the 38 Guam Legislature Standing Rules, a chairperson may order the removal from a hearing of a committee or subcommittee of any person who is not a member of y Legislatura Guam and who fails to observe proper decorum. Any violation of this general rule of conduct will result in immediate removal from the public hearing room. And with that being said, we will now proceed to hear testimony on the first item on the agenda. We are hearing Bill number 252-38 COR, as introduced by myself, Senator Tina Rose Munoz Barnes, which is an act to amend Section 12106H of Chapter 12, Title 17, Guam Code Annotated, relative to increasing the cap on charter schools from 7 to 8 to advance career and technical education through partnership with Guam Community College. I was handed the list here for this bill on Bill 252 first. And before I do the opening statement on that, I understand, I hope I'm reading the, Evangeline Cepeda, you're here to provide oral testimony. You may proceed to the front, to the table. GCC, Ms. Gina Ramos, Guam Board of Trustees for Guam Community College's Board of Trustees. You may come to the table. Leland Segra from SPECS, you're also here. Virginia C. Is that Tudela? President Tudela, I apologize. You're more than welcome to come up. Pilar Williams, also, you're more than welcome to come up. And former President Mary Okada, please join the table. This is, ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm going to do all three bills because they're really separate in nature because they're different mission mandates. So if anybody wants to help support or oppose this measure on 252, you can sign up in the front with my Chief of Staff, Alan Cepeda, and my intern, Ms. V. Perez. Please don't hesitate to do so. Even if you don't want to speak but want to support or oppose, you're more than welcome to go to the table and include that. So, thank you very much again for everybody coming here. I will do the opening statement on Bill 252-38, COR, and then I will have the panel members speak on the measure. Bill number 252-38 increases the charter school cap from 7 to 8 to establish a career and technical education focused charter school in partnership with the Guam Community College. The goal, ladies and gentlemen, is to create a clear pathway for our youth to transition directly into the workforce with the ability to earn a good wage upon graduation. GCC, the Guam Community College, has previously housed a high school program within its campus, so this approach is not new. While the CTE programs across our public schools have been successful, this model goes further by placing students in a college environment, encouraging career-minded individuals to fully commit to their field of study. I want to say that we often talk about the need to grow our own, but that requires us to build the institutional capacity to support clear pathways for high school students. Guam's future depends on a highly skilled workforce prepared for today's jobs for emerging sectors like telecommunications, advanced trades, and even artificial intelligence. And I know my colleague on my left, very far left, has been very instrumental in helping look into that area. I want to share with you guys that we cannot rely on a fragmented system where students navigate these pathways alone. We need to institutionalize that pipeline. I share this not just as a policymaker, but from personal experience. I have seen how effective this model can be, how it opens the doors early and creates real momentum for our young people. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an investment that pays dividends across generations, and importantly, it does not detract from our existing charter or traditional public schools. I want to share with you that it builds on what is already working and directly strengthens the workforce outcomes and economic development. I also want to add that it allows us to take control of our educational framework to establish something that is Guam-centered. And as I look at the list that was before me, I'm going to go ahead, if it's all right with all of you guys on the panel, that I'm going to start from those who signed in first. So, Madam Chair, Evangeline M. Cepeda from the Charter Council, I will begin with you and probably just work it down. And work it down after, well, okay?
Thank you. Hafaday and good afternoon, Senators of the 38th Guam Legislature, Senator Tina Munya-Barnes, Senator Sean Gumatautau, Senator Joe S. San Augustine, and Senator Telo Taitagui. Thank you for being here. My name is Evangeline M. Cepeda. I'm coming here before you today in full support of this bill. As the chair of the Guam Academy Charter Schools Council, I've always said, and I will continue to say, there's room for growth. Don't stifle it in 7. If it works, why just put it at that? I'm very critical about that. I've said this time and time again. I know money is always an issue, and that's why I leave it to you, the senators, to fight this for us and advocate for this. I just want to say that there is room for growth. I've said it in the previous public hearing, that I really think that a sufficient amount is at least 10 or 12 charter schools to really fit the demand and the needs for our parents that want a school choice option. And charter schools, this is the first fiscal year I'm going to say that we have thriving at our very best. We are excelling, all 7 charter schools. So with that, I just want to say that, okay, that I'm in full support of growth. So to answer your question, I am full support of this particular proposed bill. I've always said this, and I don't want to restrict that. With that, I want to say that new charter schools bring a distinct, innovative, evidence-based educational model that would demonstrate it serves the needs of the students it intends to reach out to. That's the goal here. With that, expanding the cap should not be about quantity. It should be about quality, diversity of options, and meaningful innovation for each particular charter. When a charter school shows that its concept and is different from the 7 existing charter schools, then all of my 7 charter schools, to include the council, is in full support. The only concern that the 7 charter schools, existing charter schools, have is they don't want a duplicate of services. So if this bill can be innovative and it works, then we are in support of this. And we want to be strong within our charters. We need for it to grow. I know the want, it's a need. There is a need, people. There's a waiting list for charter schools, and there's a gap. We all know this. There's always a gap, and this can fill in those gaps with the needs of our students of Guam. I don't want to take up too much time. I just want to say that as long as they bring to the table it's advantageous for our students and our parents, and there's a school choice or different options, then I'm in full support of this. Thank you.
Madam Chair. If you have a written testimony, just to help the committee, if you can submit that to our staff right behind you, it would really help us a lot and make it easier for the transcription purpose. Ms. Gina Ramos?
Hafa Senators, my name is Gina Ramos. I am a member of the GCC Board of Trustees. Our chairperson is unable to be here today, so I will read his testimony. Hafa Madam Chair and honorable members of the committee, on behalf of the Guam Community College Board of Trustees, I respectfully submit this written testimony in strong support of Bill number 252-38, specifically the provision to increase the statutory cap on charter schools from 7 to 8, enabling the establishment of an 8th charter school at the Guam Community College. Guam Community College has long served as a cornerstone of career and technical education, workforce development, and post-secondary advancement for our island. Expanding the charter school cap to allow GCC to establish the 8th charter school represents a strategic and forward-thinking investment in Guam's educational continuum. The initiative is not merely an expansion in number. It is about a purposeful, structured pathway and an expansion in opportunity. Through a GCC charter school, students will gain earlier and more structured access to career pathways aligned with high-demand industries, including construction trades, healthcare, information technology, education, automotive technology, and hospitality, just to name a few. By integrating secondary and post-secondary pathways, we can strengthen college and career readiness, provide dual credit and early college opportunities, reduce remediation rates, increase industry certification attainment among high school students, and create seamless transitions into apprenticeships and workforce placement. Guam's workforce demands continue to evolve, particularly in light of the military realignment, infrastructure development, healthcare expansion, and emerging technology sectors. A GCC charter school offers a unique opportunity to position and align curriculum with industry standards, leverage GCC's accredited programs and facilities, and connect students directly with employer-driven training while completing a credentialed certificate or associate's degree. This is the early college model that GCC has been preparing to champion for our island's youth. Developing a highly skilled local workforce is essential to Guam's long-term resilience. Investing in our youth through structured career pathways reduces reliance on off-island labor, promotes economic self-sufficiency, and expands opportunities for upward mobility for Guam's families. This bill represents a proactive step toward building a sustainable future grounded in education, skills, and local talent. Increasing the cap from 7 to 8 does not diminish existing charter schools. Rather, it enhances Guam's public education ecosystem by introducing a specialized model focused on career and technical excellence. GCC's governance structure, accreditation status, and established compliance systems ensure accountability, fiscal responsibility, and educational quality. The GCC Board of Trustees is committed to collaboration with the Guam Department of Education, the Guam Education Board, policymakers, and industry stakeholders to ensure that this charter school operates with transparency, measurable outcomes, and student-centered success as its guiding principles. We stand ready to support this initiative through policy guidance, oversight, and collaborative efforts. We are confident that with appropriate planning and accountability, this GCC charter school will serve as a model for innovative workforce-focused education in Guam. Bill number 252-38 presents a meaningful opportunity to expand this access to innovative public education while strengthening workforce pipelines for our island's future. For these reasons, the Guam Community College Board of Trustees respectfully urges the committee to support the passage of Bill number 252-38 and the increase of the charter school cap to allow GCC to serve as the 8th charter school partner. Sizus Maasi for your leadership and for your continued commitment to education and the future of Guam students. Respectfully submitted, Carlo M. Leon Guerrero, Chairman, Guam Community College Board of Trustees. Thank you.
Situs Masi, Gina, before I continue, I'd like to acknowledge the Vice Speaker being here this afternoon. Vice Speaker Ada, thank you very much for being here. Dr. Tudela, you're next.
Good afternoon, Senators. My name is Virginia Tudela, and I'm the interim president for the Guam Community College. Buenas and half a day. I respectfully submit this testimony in strong support of Bill number 252-38, an act to amend subsection 1206H of Chapter 12, Title 17, Guam Code Annotated, relative to increasing the cap on charter schools from 7 to 8 to advance career and technical education through partnership with the Guam Community College. As interim president of Guam Community College, I believe this measure represents a forward-thinking investment in Guam's workforce, our students, and the long-term economic vitality of our island. Increasing the cap on charter schools from 7 to 8 will allow for the establishment of a career and technical education-focused charter school by the Guam Community College. This model is both strategic and transformative. First, it expands access to high-quality career and technical education. By aligning secondary education with GCC's industry-certified programs, students will have earlier exposure to career pathways in high-demand fields such as construction trades, healthcare, information technology, automotive technology, culinary arts, and other critical workforce sectors. Students will not only complete high school requirements, but will also have the opportunity to earn industry-recognized credentials and, where appropriate, dual credit towards post-secondary certificates and degrees. Second, this partnership strengthens workforce alignment. GCC has long-standing relationships with Guam employers, industry advisory committees, and government agencies. Through these partnerships, curricula remain responsive to labor market demands. A charter school aligned to post-secondary education by GCC ensures that academic instruction is integrated with hands-on, competency-based training that meets industry standards. This model reduces remediation, accelerates time to employment, and creates a seamless transition from secondary education to post-secondary training or direct entry into the workforce. Third, it supports student engagement and retention. Many students thrive in applied learning environments that connect classroom instruction with real-world skills. A CTE-centered charter school provides contextualized learning opportunities, internships, apprenticeships, and work-based learning experiences. These approaches have shown to improve attendance, increase graduation rates, and foster a strong sense of purpose among students. Fourth, it promotes economic resilience for Guam. As we continue to navigate regional and global economic shifts, building a skilled workforce is essential. Investing in structured career pathways reduces reliance on imported labor, strengthens local capacity, and creates upward mobility for our residents. This bill supports a proactive workforce development strategy that benefits families, businesses, and the broader community. Finally, this measure does not merely increase the number of charter schools. It strategically authorizes an additional charter aligned with a clear public purpose, advancing career and technical education through the Guam Community College. This targeted expansion ensures accountability, alignment with workforce priorities, and responsible stewardship of public resources. Guam Community College stands ready to collaborate, provide technical expertise, align curriculum, and ensure that quality and accreditation standards are upheld. Together, we can create a seamless educational pipeline that prepares students not only for graduation, but for meaningful careers and lifelong learning. On behalf of the Guam Community College, I respectfully urge your favorable consideration and passage of Bill 252-38. Siduos Maasi for your continued support of education and workforce development in Guam. Respectfully submitted by Dr. Virginia Tudela, Interim President from GCC. Thank you.
Siduos Maasi, Doc. Dr. Okada?
Have a day and good afternoon to all of you. Senator Tina Munoz-Barnes, Vice Speaker Tony Atta, Senator Sean Gumatautau, Senator Joe San Augustine, Senator Tello Taidegui. My name is Mary Okada, retired president of the Guam Community College. I am here to offer my support for Bill 252-38 to increase the cap on charter schools from 7 to 8 to advance career and technical education for the Guam Community College. The college's mission is to be a leader in career and technical workforce development, providing the highest quality student-centered education and job training for Micronesia. During my time at GCC, I had the opportunity to work with amazing faculty, staff, administrators, boards, and most importantly, students and graduates. GCC is the place for opportunity, a space of passion for students and their success, innovation, and resilience. In May of 2017, the college began the process of developing a framework for an early middle college. This idea was presented to an audience at Simon Sanchez High School on May 2nd, 2017. There was a bill introduced, Bill 70-34, by Senator Joseph Augustine, Senator Rodriguez, Senator Nelson, Senator Morrison, and Senator Estevez. I would like to share some of my testimony at that gathering for that bill. That morning on K57, I heard a Simon Sanchez senior. Her name was Shannon Nicholas, and she referred to herself and her fellow students using a well-known quote that says, "When a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower." I was also fortunate that week to have listened to a speech by Emil Dewey Turanga from the Pacific Islands Associations of Non-Governmental Organizations. She spoke about rethinking development and reshaping the island that we want. This means creating the space, identifying participants, and then transforming our agenda for our community. As I sat and listened to her speech, I started to think about what we could do, stepping out of the status quo, completely outside of our comfort zone, and making an impact that will positively affect the lives of our students, the next generation of students that we serve. I pulled together the Team GCC. I shared my initial thoughts on what we were doing in the high schools to promote workforce development and listened to their ideas. I told them it was time for us to propose an innovative idea that we had been pondering for the past several years. First, most of you know that GCC expanded from the former GCC Voctec High School, which closed on the main campus in Manilao in 2000. At that time, 1,000 students were enrolled. GCC has since taken that career and technical education, or CTE courses that we offered, and put them in the 6 public high schools. Currently, GCC has programs that are taught by GCC faculty with over 2,500 students in courses such as tourism, lodging management, automotive service, technology, marketing, construction, carpentry, ProStart, health occupations, electronics, etc. Students that take the GCC courses from sophomore year to senior year that earn a B or better each year and complete 180 hours of work experience where they actually work for a business in a course-related field can graduate with now up to 19 college credits and transfer that into the GCC post-secondary program. They graduate from high school and can apply for college credit. This program started in 2012. Since then, many students have completed their certificates of mastery, creating a pathway for those students to move seamlessly from high school into a GCC post-secondary or a certificate program. We believed that there was an educational workforce development opportunity through this charter school concept at GCC. This was an opportunity to rethink the high school model and transform it into a model that often people call middle college, On Guam, we could call this model the CTE Middle College Charter School or something like that. Middle college or early college schools are community collaborations between school districts and colleges, parents and business representatives. Institutional collaborations have been found to make college attainable for more students, reduce repetition in curriculum, provide coordinated student services, and very importantly for many of the high school graduates, the elimination or the need for remediation. Middle college is basically an alternative to traditional high school, in which during their junior and senior year, they take courses such as high school English, social studies, and history to fulfill high school graduation requirements. The rest of the student's class schedule is filled with college courses that will count for high school and college. When a student graduates from this middle college, he or she graduates not only with a high school diploma, but depending on the number of courses, they can graduate with a certificate or an associate's degree. I'll say that again. Graduating from high school with a certificate or an associate's degree. GCC is already providing a portion of this concept through our high school CTE curriculums in each of the public high schools that allow for the credit transfers to GCC. And as an overarching statement, GCC is accredited by the Accrediting Commission for Community and Junior Colleges. This bill supports the middle college concept and maintains a transparent and robust interaction and access to college facilities, classes, and faculty for teachers and students of the GCC Charter School. Constructive, positive relationships exist among administrators, faculty, and staff at the secondary and post-secondary levels, as well as business representatives, parents, and members of the community, and they can all contribute to increase student academic performance. Steps towards developing this authentic college-high school collaborations would be defined in the organizational structure that clearly outlines the pathways for our students. I believe that this is an opportunity to provide the environment that Mr. Nicholas spoke about that morning on K57, in which our student flowers blossom into productive, sustainable members of a regional workforce. They will be able to compete for and attain jobs that are coming in our way in terms of technology, telecommunications, tourism, construction, and transportation, the health field, and much more. For parents, their graduates would leave the institution with, again, a post-secondary certificate, and for all of intents and purposes, a free college degree. This GCC charter school provides a funding mechanism that would allow GCC to implement this innovative idea. This transformational idea should be viewed as an educational workforce development opportunity that now exists in our midst. Sejus Maasi for the opportunity to present my support for Bill 252-38. I believe it will allow not only our high school students to blossom, but provide our students with the tools needed to enhance skills and help build a stronger workforce and a more sustainable island community. Sejus Maasi.
Sejus Maasi, Dr. Okada, and I hope you don't mind too. If you can submit a copy of your testimony to make it easier on the committee to transcribe. Sure. Dr. Williams, you're recognized.
Senators, I have no formal testimony, but as the acting Vice President for Academic Affairs and a former high school principal on Guam, I am in full support of this measure.
Sejus Maasi. And at this time, are there anyone else out there in the audience willing to speak on this bill? If not, I will open the floor to my colleagues. I will acknowledge them as they came in. I will start on my right with Senator Sean Gumatauto. You may proceed with your testimony or comments or questions, but I will note for the record again, it's 5 minutes. There is a time clock, so please acknowledge that. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the panel for being with us this afternoon. As a big proponent of school choice, this is probably the funnest part of what I get to do as a policymaker, is getting to hear from all of you and some of the ideas and hearing some of the numbers and data to support school choice on Guam. Just had a few questions, Madam Chair, and I don't know if you can answer it, but I hope you can do your best. Is recognizing that it is the Guam Department of Education's responsibility to deliver curriculum to K through 12 students that develop their academic and their technical skills, knowledge, and training that are necessary to succeed in future post-secondary education and careers. What information is available confirming the creation of diverse curricular programs and multiple pathways to success, such as career academies, career and technical education, individualized academic plans, job certification programs, and internships as recognized in GDOE's 5-year strategic plan, which was approved in April of 2022? And anyone can answer.
Okay, Senator, as far as the charter schools, how we get our data is very different. And so with the data, I have data here with me before you. I can provide this to you, Senator Gumatauto. We have it in a very different way because every charter has its own mission, and their charter is very specific to each school. So like, for example, I'm gonna give an example like business and technology. Okay, charter school. Their curriculum is strictly based on business and technology and being on the workforce. So every Friday, they dress for success. They go physically to a specific work site and they report there. And they do this like they're on a regular, real job. And they're on hands-on experience. So these are different factors for different schools, and how we base the students' achievement is based on basically the performance, or we get the ratings from the students, the feedback from the students. We get feedback from the students every month on how they feel, what they've gained, what they've learned, what they would like to learn more. And so every school has its different criteria, and we can provide that to you, Senator, because we have that available. I hope that, I mean, as far as curriculum and every charter school, the only charter school that works specifically closest to the data of GDOE would be the Guam Academy Charter School, which is from kindergarten to 12th grade, and their curriculum is DI instruction from 1st to the 5th grade, and then from 5th grade to middle school is a different curriculum, and then high school is a different curriculum. So they kind of, before they started off the first 5 years, they started off at DI instruction, and they did away with that, and they went from just DI from 1st through 5th. If they're, as far as their reading and all that excels, from middle school, they go into a different curriculum, and then in high school, they go into, from 10th through 11th or 12th grade, they have a different curriculum.
Okay, Vanjie, did you want to comment, Dr. Terrella, or maybe Mary?
So at GCC, we do have secondary CTE curriculum, and the curriculum, like Dr. Okada had mentioned, actually is tied to our post-secondary curriculum. So in terms of what CTE programs are, we also have a connection with GDOE in terms of our consolidated grant, and we do monitor the completion of our students and those that actually move from our secondary programs and transfer into our post-secondary programs.
And it was kind of on the comments that Mary made. So it's like, is that middle college? It's like, that's what I was kind of like leaning toward. Is that probably a safe way? I mean, that's why I kind of take your...
So there are two pieces. One is through the enabling legislation for the Guam Community College, we are the state agency for career and technical education. So our curriculum doesn't necessarily get approved by GDOE because it's industry-based. Our faculty are trained or come from the industry, and the curriculum is updated through the GCC process. The second component that GCC offers to the table is that we are also the adult education. We also have the adult education program. So we're offering the English, the science, the math, the social studies for those that drop out of college, high school, and then come to get a GED or a high school diploma. And again, that curriculum is not approved by the GDOE process. So if we marry those two components up at the college which already exists, then it can be provided for the specific industry or the career and technical education course in the early college model.
Okay, now this probably leads me to my second question is, what positive economic and workforce impacts for Guam could result from this deeper, call it if you will, secondary, post-secondary partnership, especially in preparing a skilled local workforce, getting ready for the island's strategic and growing industries that we're seeing today?
Okay, right now, we do have our advisory boards, right? So they provide input in terms of, when you're talking about workforce development and the needs of our island, our advisory boards work with our faculty to develop our curriculum. So based on the needs of, like for example, our CNA program, we do have an early middle college program that's currently in existence. So basically our students are taking courses at GCC. They're taking their high school courses during the day, and they're taking their health-related courses in the night, because we're responsive to the needs of the healthcare industry and what they've mentioned.
Oh, no, I understand that, but I mean, are we looking at maybe more jobs in certain industries? Like, for example, I know we're seeing people do drones and little additive manufacturing. I mean, what are we talking about in terms of, are we looking at millions of dollars that we can, and hundreds more jobs that we can see in our workforce because of this type of charter school?
Yes, yes, because instead of importing labor, we're actually training our people and bringing them up, their skill sets up, so that they're the ones that are being hired by the different companies on island.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of leaning towards, is what are you, I mean, if you're gonna come and we're gonna create a school and then we're gonna say, we're gonna create 400 new jobs in, you know, pick an industry, I think it's a bigger selling point for these charter schools. Yes, the line is long to get into a charter school and choice, but parents are always looking for that, what can my kid, listen, I have 5 kids. So if I'm looking down the road of where my kids could maybe expand, and maybe someone has 1 or 2 kids, it doesn't matter, but there's a great chance that this type of effort could really lead to some important, not only to their own well-being, but also our entire expansion of our economy.
Right. It'll improve the employability, because through the programs, they get industry certification. So this is not just a certification that's provided by GCC, but this is recognized like nationally. So that makes them more employable here on island. And if they choose to go someplace else, that certification follows them.
Okay, let me just add another question on that. The bill notes that using GCC facilities is fiscally, it notes that it's fiscally responsible and efficient. How does expanding school choice through charters maximize public resources while expanding opportunity without requiring a new school construction? We got plenty of great buildings that are underutilized here in Guam. Anyone want to offer up that bit of 2 cents?
So with GCC, we actually have the facilities to offer the charter school. Like this past year, we had CIFA. So we had middle school students on our campus that were taking classes. At the same time, post-secondary classes were being offered. And at the same time, the GW cross-enrolled students were in our campus. So one facility being utilized by different groups of individuals. So that's maximizing the resources.
Anybody else want to comment on that? Banji? Or Mary? Or
well, I would like to say CIFA loves the school environment because... Of
course they do. It's a nice school.
Well, here's the thing. They love it because, Senator, here's the great thing about it is they're around, when they see adults. So CIFA's, they said that when the students see this, they're looking at they've never thought beyond that. So when they see all these successful people around the school grounds, they ask questions, they're inquisitive. So there is a lot of camaraderie. Students are wanting to go to a higher education. If they weren't, they've been considering it. So this has been a very positive thing with regards to CIFA being on the campus. It's been very positive for CIFA students.
All right, no, thank you for that, and I do appreciate your input today, and thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me to ask questions on this public policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gumatautau. Senator San Agustin, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to thank Dr. Okada for reminding the people of Guam what happened in 2017. Because back then, it was rough. What this bill is proposing is what we tried to do in 2017. We tried the charter school, then we tried the middle college, and we didn't even stop there. She didn't stop there. I even tried to convince her, why don't we go after Southern High? Let's take over Southern High because, Southern High was half empty. Well, but Senator Song, but back then, the focus was to expand. Because GC it's a great program. You know, you can see on the bill, my name is there. I'm in support of this bill. And you know what? Back then, people protested against the charter school, protested against the middle college. And today, everybody's like, that's the way to go. And I'm like, where have you been? 8 years later, hello? Guam Community College has always led. And during the budget, I always teach Dr. Carter, can you teach the other agencies to do their budget the same way and do their program? But it didn't work. But, you know, I just have to admit that number one, we just have to do an amendment, a little bit on the bill to add career tech on the number here and be done with it. Very simple. And I'm happy I see Mr. Ho here because I remember back then during the push for charter school, if we had succeeded, if not charter school, at least the middle college, Simon Sanchez would have been built. The students today would have been on their second year, probably, if not third year, in a new campus. It wouldn't be where it's at today. Because it takes at least 3 to 4 years. It's been 8 years. Done, we moved on. But with that, you know, Madam Chair, fully support the bill. Long time coming. Thank you, Dr. Cotton. Thank you for the members that are here. It should be a no-brainer when it gets to the floor. It should be an easy one to just work through. And then we'll just have a nice day. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sito Ismasi, Senator San Agustin, and thank you for bringing up some of the history that's happened in the past. And I've always said that some things may have not been so good back then, but will be great today, and vice versa. And we've got to leave no stone unturned, and this is what we're doing today. So thank the panel for being very interested in that. Senator Tadegui, I'm going to recognize you for some questions on a timeline. Please come on.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good afternoon to my colleagues. Of course, good afternoon to those who are watching live. A lot of parents, I think, might be watching this too as well. They have a great stake in it, but appreciate everyone that's here testifies, and those who are sitting in the audience. Thank you for being here too as well and being engaged. You know, Vanjie, I'm here because I've always been an advocate for charter schools and still do, but I also believe in accountability, transparency, and being responsible for what you do. Something as important as this charter school and the movement that the traction it's been taking is because you're crossing your T's and dotting your I's, and we want to make sure that happens. Now, in the bill itself, it talks about section 12107, and it says it crosses out 7 to make 8, correct? Okay. So, Vanjie, this bill, can you just tell me if we were to cross this out, what does this bill allow? And in very short terms, what does it allow?
Okay, Senator. It allows, I guess, it allows the cracks, right? Because all the 7 charter schools has its different functions and mission. I think this will add on when Dr. Okada came to me and we spoke about this. The first thing I said to her, just listening or 10 minutes into it, I was like, this is something really good. I was like, this is a no-brainer. I think that what it is we want to ensure that.
No, what does it do?
With
What does it allow you to do? Crossing out the 7 to the 8.
Okay.
What does it allow you to do?
Okay, what it would allow us to do? Okay, well, first of all, you know this, that if this bill was passed,
right,
it still has to go before the council.
Right.
They still have to have their public hearing.
Right.
My 7 charter schools have an input.
Right.
They will do all that process, and we have a timeline under the law. So it has to be within 60 days. So if this bill becomes a law, then the council has to act upon it within 60 days, calendar days. And once this process goes on and the council does choose to go with this particular bill and pass it for another charter school, then what we do is we will meet with the new charter school. They will come in.
Okay, stop right there. You meet with the new charter school. What stops anybody else coming to the charter council to ask for their school to be implemented?
Well,
and to let you go further, that the section that talks about what types of charter school you're allowed to, whether it be Chamorro language,
right,
arts, and that's in section, and I know you probably know this by heart.
Yes.
You know what section it's in, right?
I don't know, but I do know what you're speaking about.
I want you to tell me, now you're at that section,
okay,
because right now you're just pointing to one per group of people who want to open a charter school,
right,
when you have to open up this to everyone in the community.
Correct.
Okay, so go from there.
Okay, so again, the public hearing has to be within 60 calendar days. The council will instruct them what they are required to do. They have to post their posters in these different public areas. They have to show us proof of that. They come before our hearing for the council. Once this passes, people will come there to support or oppose this particular. If and when the council votes on this and it passes, then we meet with the new charter. This charter then will tell us exactly their mission, where they fall within the guidelines, Senator, that you're speaking about, where they will fall under that. We highlight that because we will let them know that their mission has to comply within that law. So, you have one that's an immersion. You got different categories on that particular law. That law they will be informed, highlighted, which we do, and we say to them, okay, this is what you stated, but this is what is to be compliance with the law of the charter school law.
So that's on section E.
Correct.
In 12106, which changes the 7 to the 8.
Right.
And then you go to section E, it talks about measurable proficiency in Chamorro language, history, music, physical fitness, and performing arts.
Correct. And then they basically will tell us where they fall under that category, because the law requires that the charter schools or every specific charter has to comply with one of them, because all charters can't be one. They can't serve the same purpose of students, because that would be a duplication of charter.
So don't you think that you need to make an amendment to this bill to incorporate in letter E to allow that broad base area of technical education? I think you would have to go in there and change it. Now let me go to GCC.
Okay.
It seems to me, based on your testimony, earlier, the second testimony from the president, that one paragraph that says, first, it expands access to high-quality career technical education by aligning secondary education to GCC's industry-certified program. Is this charter school for GCC?
It's going to be a GCC charter school for students.
Okay, that's what I didn't see in the bill. I was just talking to my good friend, Senator San Augustine. They said, wait a minute, this bill just changed from 7 to 8, but it doesn't say it's for GCC to change it.
Yeah.
So how is that possible? I mean, applications that submit to the charter council are put in, all these applications. It doesn't stop anybody else from putting an application in, right? But if we're going to do that and allow the the council to approve any applications, then you have to switch up Section E of this bill, of the law, not just the section that strikes out 7 to 8, but you have to allow for that type of industry. Am I correct on that, Vange?
Yes, Senator. They have certain parts of that law
That has to be tweaked.
that speaks
Okay.
to very specifically what the mission of each charter should
Right.
carry, which mission they should go with.
Exactly. Okay, and before I forget, just a real quick question. Can a charter school, like say CIFA, I'm not saying they have one, but let's say CIFA, they have a campus right now. Can they literally have another campus on the other side of the island? Are they allowed to do that?
Under the charter school, that's been done very much in the States, and it works. Guam has not started that because we are already on the elementary stage, right? We've passed the infancy stage and we are working that, but that's been two options of 2 other charter schools, existing charter schools in the near future.
Does a charter school bylaws or laws here allow that?
It does not, it doesn't allow it, but it doesn't say anything that it's
Not
in
allowed.
to
Yeah,
regards
yeah.
to that.
Whether
Correct.
it can or cannot.
Correct.
So it's basically open and
Correct.
someone can challenge that.
Correct.
So, okay, I've always wanted to know that because they can diversify, they're doing so great. These charter schools are doing so great.
Right.
They're focused, career orientated. The kids go in with a purpose in life, and they strive for that. So I think that it's amazing. So that needs to be tweaked, and I need you guys to look at that, because if you're applying, GCC is applying, then it needs to also pertain to this. Also, further down, it says something that in order to, the cost, the elephant in the room is cost, of course. Now, we're not seeing that Guam is growing in population here. We're seeing a decline in population. That means children as well. So DOE, they're doing everything they can, and of course they're losing a lot of their people to the charter schools. So the cost, actually, during the one that Senator San Augustine was talking back in 2017, they were actually giving them $6,500 per student to go through, to move through.
We're up to 7,800 now
Oh, okay.
per student.
Yeah, so we're up to 7,000. So we are increasing that, and that's a good sign, So of course it's going to sustain anyway. Thank you, Madam Chair, for just that little leeway. There is one other thing I want to make sure that you guys look into the law to review that section, plus that, and also the ability on an H, letter H, of that same section, 12106. Look at that too.
Thank you,
Because
Sue.
okay.
Thank
so
you, Madam Chair. And
Okay, thank you.
If you want a response to that,
No,
Would you-
it's just have them look at that. It's okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And of course, I've been a great supporter of charter school. I just want to make sure we cross our T, dot our I's, and that we're not stepping on anybody else's opportunity to open charter schools. The more the merrier, I say. So, okay, thank you.
thank you. Vice Speaker Ada, you're recognized at this time for comments or questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I thank the panel for being here this afternoon. Vanjie, how would you be, there's 3 bills before us for 3 different type of charters. How does the council go, if all 3 bills pass, how does the charter go about determining which would be the best fit for the next charter school?
Vice Speaker, the truth is, of course, just so you know for the record, 4 years in a row, the council has not come before this body to get any $1 more. I kept my end of the promise when I said 4 years ago that we will not ask. We remained at 7,800 per student pupil. Because the increase of everything and the budget hearing coming up, that will be explained there and my justification for an increase. With that said, Vice Speaker, I want to say in defense of the existing charter schools first. The 7 existing charter schools are nonprofit. So they are innovative. They don't just totally rely, because I hear this from senators, they're using all government money. No, that is not true. That's an inaccurate statement. The money they get from the per student pupil, yes, it pays, but it doesn't pay for 100%. A lot of them is they do their own nonprofit organization. The money they make, whatever shortages they may have, they do work with that. With that said, with 3 new coming on board, let's just say this bill passes and 3 more gets on board. How would this work? First of all, I would come before this body and request for a supplemental, like we did the last time. I know senators laughing up there, but that's what I did. And I thank this body. They gave me a supplemental budget of $1.2 or $1.3 million. Thank you for all of them that supported that. But we justified that it really is charter schools. There is a demand, Vice Speaker. That's a very good question. It comes down to dollars and cents, right? But at the end of the day, look at it this like you're saving a whole lot with the charters, no matter how you look at it. Because I know that you guys have talked about performance-based. Charters have been doing this for 7 years, performance-based. Performance-based. So I'm just saying that we will come before this body for a supplemental budget if and when this passes. And then another thing is, if this bill passes for the 3 charters, then it's up to this body of when the budget will be available for. Because I know working with all of you, you probably say, okay, we'll pass this bill, but it will not be budgeted until 2028. So I'm just putting it out there, Senator, that I would come before this body for a supplemental. That's what would happen, and then write off for the next budget.
Okay, but thank you for that. But I was asking also, there's 3 bills before us for 3 different type of charters.
Yes.
Currently, you have how many charter schools?
We have 7.
And this only takes it up to 8.
Right.
From 7 to 8. So how are you going to determine which?
Okay, so then it will become the charter's tough decision to battle this out and see where it goes from there. Because it's based, the council's going to use, honestly, what is needed. We're going to look at our 7 existing charter schools and what is needed to fill in these areas. And so, you know, today you got the easy part. Unfortunately, the council is going to be tough in deciding this. That's where the council as a whole will talk with the 7 existing charters, because I'm very much inclusive, and say, okay, how do you feel about these 3, and which one will work? That's where we're at. Now, if in a perfect world, Vice Speaker, I'd like to say all 3.
I'm going to go ahead and do a point of information on this matter, thank you, Ms. Vanjie. Based on the author's introduction of all 3 bills, it was I was going to ask the council, Charter Council, if increasing it from 7 to 10 will be supportive for the commission, so that we don't have to keep coming back to the body. When we first started this implementation for the charter schools, it was at a pilot project education system development moving forward. We capped it back many years ago at 7. We've reached 7, and there's 3 additional schools on hand right now. So the question to the council was increasing it at 10 during this process, would that suffice with the charter council? So maybe that question, if I may add, to ask the charter president, council president, increasing it from 7 to 10, would that suffice?
Well, I've been saying this since 2 years ago, that I'm open to, I keep saying this, 12, I know, we could keep it at 10. I'm just saying, I'm being realistic. There is a demand and a need out there. I keep saying demand and a need, because there is. But I would say, I'm happy with 10. If you guys give me 10, I am pleased, because that's 10, you know, that's far more than we thought, right? I mean, we were stuck with 7. I went before the education chair, Senator Borja, and I expressed my interest to increase this 2 years ago, very strongly and firmly, that please support us in this, and so I'll leave it at that.
And just so that you know, as the Vice Chair of Education, was very supportive in the efforts of moving this forward, as we've seen the successes of the 7 charter schools today, from not just the development and the educational component, but everything else that goes with the financial resources needed to move programs forward for success. So, Mr. Vice Chair, I yield back to you. You still have some time.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And that's what my question was. If, we're going just from 7 to 8, instead of taking it from 7 to 10, knowing that we have 3 bills before us for 3 different type of charters, right? So if we only pass if we pass all 3 bills and only take it from 7 to 8, that puts you in another situation where you're going to have to determine out of the 3 charter schools, which is going to be best fitted for being the next charter school to be on Guam.
Vice Speaker, you being the second in command of this body, I say and I implore you to give us 10, and we'll be happy, I think, with the 10 for years to come, because we're stuck at 7, and these individuals have come before me since last year, and one was even a year prior to that. And so they've been on hold, and I told them, we can't do it because the legislature has to. And I did request this from the chair on education 2 years ago, that we did need this. And so I'm here before you, and I'm saying you're the second in command. I leave it to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for that. But and and that's what one of my concerns was, right? It was that we're only going from 7 to 8, and then we have 3 bills before us. But then also going back to the charter schools, the success of each charter school. And I understand that still, perhaps maybe one charter school is still within government facilities, right? Am I correct?
That's correct.
So how is it that we correct that moving forward, and that ensuring that these 3 other charters are able to sustain themselves should they become a charter? Should you avail them of a charter?
Senator, Vice Speaker, I think, when they become a charter and they sit with us and we sit at the table with all the other charters, there's a lot of sharing going around the table. And so this builds on why it works for charters, because no one's excluded, and everybody kind of gives their idea. I think the 3 of them, they've done their homework. I'm going to say that. They've done their homework, so I'm going to entrust that these 3 individuals or bodies are going to come before the council and be very prepared with regards to that. So, I mentioned this, I'll give a GAC as example. GAC is one of those schools that is right now rent-free, right? But at any time, if the governor says we need that building back, I'm giving an example, they can be prepared to move out tomorrow and look for a place, because we've been that good with regards to the funding, meaning the lapse that we have strictly for that we've maintained that. And so I'm just saying that was before I came involved, and so it's a different factor. But all the other ones that have come since I've been the chair, they're doing quite well. They're succeeding. Everything's being paid for. Everything is current. We are in full compliance of every law to include audit findings. 3 audit findings this year out of 7. Exceptional well. None. Excellent. So this is what I'm going to report to this body. The 3, if and when this bill passes and we decide the 3 and we move it to 10 with this body, okay, I'm just saying, senators, that all I'm going to say, senators, is that they will be a great attribute to the charter and not be a big problem about it. Can I say that?
Yes, okay, that's great. And, since you opened the door on the one charter school,
yes,
that they are ready to move, should the governor say, well, we need that building. So what prevents them from doing that today, without the governor having to tell them?
What's preventing them from building? It's the procurement process, because these charters still have to go through the procurement process required under the government of Guam. And so that procurement process is rather lengthy. And I'll leave it at that because right now that's the process they're going to right now, Vice Speaker.
Okay. All right. So for GCC, you currently have CIFA at GCC, am I correct?
We do right now,
All right.
up until June.
Up until June. Is there any plans to renew their accommodations at GCC past June?
Well, we're hoping to have this charter school and use the facilities for the GCC charter school. So with that in mind, then the answer would be not at this time.
So there's no plans to extend CIFA past June of this year?
Not at this time.
Okay. So that's I guess that's the question that, because what we don't want to do is pass a piece of legislation that we're going to put one charter to go in and then we're kicking another charter out, right? To have them go back to where they were at before, and that's without a school, a facility to be in. So that's why I'm asking if this bill is passed, and do you know if they're currently looking for a facility? And
We did have a conversation with them to let them know that we're not going to renew them, so.
so they do know that you are
they-
not renewing?
Yes, they do.
All right,
They do.
all right. So there's no plans to renew?
No, yes, no,
None?
not at this
Oh,
time.
Okay, so I'll take your word for that, that there's no plans to renew.
They've
so
been
that
informed.
When we do go into session and this bill does pass, then I know I can be rest assured that when I vote on this piece of legislation, that I'm not putting one charter out to put another charter in, right?
Yes, they've been
Yes.
informed.
Okay, thank you. So maybe the only other thing I have is that I think you were looking at the per pupil from 7,800 to 8,300. Is that correct?
That is correct, Vice Speaker. Thank you.
No,
I mean,
I think
that's
I
the
think-
request.
no, I think
I'm trying to get every chance I get because, when I swear to uphold, to advocate for the charter, so I will continue to do so. And not in a funny way or disrespect to you, Mr. Vice Speaker. I mean this sincerely. 8.3 is what we're requesting under the budget for this fiscal year,
Yeah, and I know that's why I asked,
Yes.
because we were talking about 7,800 here, and
That's
I know
correct.
there was conversation about moving it up to 8,300
Yes.
if the budget allowed for it. So.
Correct.
All right. So how is that now going to? What are you looking at? Should this bill pass? What are you looking at for the capacity of this charter to start at?
Okay, so.
What are they asking, or would you allow?
Okay, Vice Speaker, so in the event this goes through and it passes and becomes public law, what it is it still has to go the process of the requirement under the council. So, there's a 60-day process, and so this is not going to, it becomes law, then it still has to go through the council. It has to meet the requirement under the public hearing of the council and for the people and the meeting with the charter schools, and it has to meet within that guideline. So I'm going to tell you that it probably all depends on when you guys go into session, when this bill is passed, or wherever it falls there. It all depends on that, Vice Speaker. And then let's just say, I'm going to say I'm giving it a scenario, May, June, or whatever it may be. And then it goes and it does its own process. Then from there, and it becomes a public law, we're given that copy, then we act on that immediately. So it all, again, is when this becomes a law and when it's passed through this body. If it's prolonged, then we can't do it come August because that's not realistic. It's a setup for failure. It will not meet the mandate under the law. Now, those are factors I'm saying. These are all factors into that.
All right, and also capacity of a new charter, is there a minimum or a maximum number that on the onset of a charter that you allow a school to have?
Okay, no, we don't have that. So we don't do that, Vice Speaker. How we do this is, if I'm giving a scenario like Chief Harao, when they came on board, they had a high number. It was not a normal, like a regular charter, because the demand was there. So when they requested for 200 students, That's unheard of. Most of them start off at 50, 75, and then they take it from there. And as they grow, the student population grows. But Chief Arau came in requested for 175 automatically, and there was a waiting list. But then the capacity of the school couldn't meet. I mean, you can't exceed 200 because we still have to be under the compliance of the with the law with regards to crowding, the fire department, all these other factors. So we usually say start small, start at 25, 50, and then grow from there. That's what we usually do.
And did you get any input from the superintendent, Dr. Wampat, on what this additional charter schools could, or what would be the effects of additional charter schools to the GDOE schools? Did you have a meeting with her? No.
No, I didn't. But we've discussed this, and I've discussed this with the chair, Mr. Angel Sablan. There's a lot of red tape that went through this because CIFA wanted to go that route and utilize the school and move in right away, then found out there were a lot of legalities and a lot of other factors, which was a lot to deal with. So CIFA decided to go this route, which was GCC.
Okay, but no other conversations with the superintendent about new charters?
No.
None? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Thank you so very much, Vice Speaker. To the panel members this afternoon, thank you for your presentation. Again, for those who spoke that did not present a hard copy,
Madam
I
Chair?
ask.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to add something in real quick.
Sure, no
quick.
problem, but just let me finish to make sure that you take your copies of your testimony and provide it to our staff so that we may be able to append it to the journal.
Yeah.
Senator Titagui, I will recognize you. Sorry.
It's okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted for the record, since we're in here, that there may be a possibility, if I can, to incorporate in Section E as well as the other sections in the law to add in. So when we go to committee on when you go to the markup, that it was mentioned here that we did that, and secondly, maybe to even merge all three bills into one to simplify it may be an option too. So I just want to put that on the record so that we can say it was heard during public hearing, and anybody who wants to provide testimonies based on that comment that I just made can do so and send it to you. Thank you.
A very good idea, Senator Titagui. And again, I was going to note for the closing that we do have three bills before us, but at each bill is separate from the other. So the numbering from 7 to 8 was for each separate bill, but if the inclusion to support all, then of course the legal technical provisions will be added into the upgraded version from the committee's input and additions and amendments to the three bills that are before us. And the request to also note that the Charter Council is also in support of from 7 to 10. So not having to come back here at each time or each separate bill that comes up. So with that being said, there's nobody else on the list to testify for bill number 252, that's 38 COR. I will call this bill publicly heard and will conclude this part of the public hearing. And thank you again for presenting. You're more than welcome to stay for the other two bills, and if not, you may leave now. It was asked by my colleagues to just have a couple of minutes break to get up, stretch your legs, use the restroom, come back in. We'll hear Bill 256-38 in a couple of minutes. Thank you. We are in recess for a couple of minutes. Hafiday and good afternoon, colleagues and community residents here today. We are back from recess. The time is now 3:22 p.m. We will proceed with the next item on the agenda to hear testimony, Bill number 256-38, as introduced by myself, Senator Tina Rose Muñoz Barnes, which is an act to amend Section 12106H of Chapter 12, Title 17, Guam Code Annotated, relative to increasing the cap on the charter schools from 7 to 8 and to advance tourism and hospitality, career and technical education. And there is a list of those who will speak on Bill 256-38. And before I do my opening statement, I'll go ahead and call them up, as some of them are already up. Ms. Evangeline M. Cepeda from the Guam Charter Council. Senator Francis Sanchez, my apologies, I didn't recognize you earlier. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Mr. Ho Un from Cortec, thank you for being here. Shernalyn Pineda? Is that Shernalyn? I do apologize. She shows support. She's here just in support in the audience. Mr. John Pineda, who's here to present oral testimony. Eva Pineda here just to do support. Yeah, you recognize? Thank you so much for being here this afternoon. Mr. Neil Cepeda, who will be supporting, to show his support, who's in the audience. I hope I'm saying this right. Yi Lun Yang, also to show support. You're not gonna present oral testimony, just to support. Thank you. Francis Manscat for support. Thank you very much. I want to make sure that you guys get recognized, that you're here and that you're in support, as we do have a lot of members from the community that are in the audience. And then this other one is it Lonnie Manscat? Thank you, Lonnie. Again, also here in support of, right? So I'll do my opening statement on Bill 256-38. This bill, ladies and gentlemen, establishes a tourism and hospitality-focused charter school. At a time when our tourism industry faces real challenges, we're being called to rethink and rejuvenate our tourism product. One of our greatest opportunities lies in what has always made our island of Guam distinct: our culture, our people, and the way we welcome others to our beautiful island of Guam. This bill, ladies and gentlemen, recognizes that a strong, culturally aware workforce is essential to that effort. Tourism has evolved here on our island of Guam. Visitors are seeking something more meaningful and authentic and more connected to the island. And by investing in education that prepares our students to enter the hospitality field with both the technical skills and cultural understanding, we are strengthening the very foundation of our visitor experience. Bill 256 builds on the success of our charter school system and proposes a focused pathway for students to gain hands-on experience and hospitality-ready skills in a sector that remains central to Guam's economy. I want to thank the charter school representatives here for working on this concept and building a curriculum centered around our island's needs in the industry, because at its core, this measure allows young people to take ownership of their tourism industry and shape it and elevate it into something more authentically Guam. So thank you for that. And at this time, I have already called up the panel. Those who have signed to provide testimony, please, for the record, state your name for the record. And if you are in support or opposition of the bill, and then we'll proceed on. And I want to thank my colleagues who have stayed for this bill, the Vice Speaker, Speaker Ada, Senator Sean Gumatauta, Senator Joseph Augustine, and Senator Tello Tadagui. So at this time, I will start again as noted by the sign-in sheet to the Charter School Council, Evangeline Cepeda. As chairman, you may proceed. Senator, thank you for letting me yield to her on this. Sizus Masi.
Thank you. Good afternoon, senators of the 38th Guam Legislature. Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge Senator Tina Munoz-Barnes, Senator Shanga Matauta, Vice Speaker Tony Ada, Senator Joe San Augustine, and Senator Tello Tadagui. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. My name is Evangeline M. Cepeda. I am here as the council chair for the Guam Academy Charter School Council. As I mentioned, I am in full support of Bill number 256-38 in regards to increasing the cap of more charter schools. I'm in full support of this as the council and of all the 7 charter schools. Just want to reiterate it as I did before, that as long as the new charter schools, if this passes, that they're a distinct, innovative, evidence-based educational model, that they are based on quality of education, diversity of options for the students, and a meaningful innovation of education learning. I just want to say that, and I'll end with, I'm in full support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, Ms. Evangeline Cepeda. And before I start with Senator Santos, I will also note for the record that also signed up, but just want to show their support, is Julian Canovas and Yvonne Incio. Yes, thank you so very much for being here for this hearing and showing your support for this public hearing today. Senator Santos, I will recognize you at this time.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm going to defer to Mr. Ho. He's a very busy man, and we wanted his testimony to be given. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Senator. Mr. Ho, you may proceed.
Thank you, Senator Santos. Thank you, Chairperson and Vice Chair and honorable senators. Thank you for the opportunity to present my testimony in support of Bill number 256-38. As I shared during the Guam Chamber of Commerce 2026 Economic Outlook, charter schools have the potential to generate meaningful cost savings for the both Guam Department of Education and the government of Guam. However, my support for the charter school extends well beyond fiscal considerations. Charter schools provide the students with access to diverse educational models and specialized areas of focus. This flexibility allows students to better align their education with the real-world career pathways and emerging workforce needs, ultimately strengthening Guam's human capital. Dr. Pineda is a well-respected educator in our community, with a proven track record through St. Paul Christian Schools and Island Charter Schools. His leadership and commitment to education are well known on Guam. Through this initiative, Dr. Pineda and his team seeks to focus on Guam's most vital economic sector, that is tourism and hospitality industry. By aligning education with our island's primary industry, this charter school will better prepare students for a meaningful career while directly supporting local employers and economic sustainability. For these reasons, I believe this proposal will benefit our students, support GDOE, and strengthen Guam's tourism and hospitality workforce. I respectfully ask for your support for Bill number 256-38. Thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ho. Senator Santos.
I'm going to defer to the next Pineda.
Thank you. Oh, wow, you're really patient, Senator. Please, Mr. Pineda, you may proceed.
The one that's not a doctor. Buenos Zen Hafaday, Senator, Vice Speaker Tony Ada, Senator Sean Gumatauta, Speaker Senator Munya Barnes, Senator Joseph Augustine, and Senator Tello Taidigui. Thank you so much for hearing us and for being here. My name is Neil Pineda, and I stand in strong support of Bill number 256-38, which seeks to expand charter school opportunities in Guam. I respectfully present our proposal to establish a career technical education charter school focused on tourism and hospitality, an industry central to our economy and critical to our future. Tourism drives Guam's economy, and we see an opportunity to strengthen partnerships between education and industry to create more direct pathways for students into meaningful careers in tourism and hospitality, while also equipping them with the skills and mindset to become future entrepreneurs and innovators in the industry. Our proposed school is designed to help realize this vision. This will not be a traditional high school. It will be a career-focused, industry-aligned learning environment where students gain both academic knowledge and real-world skills. Students will earn industry-recognized certifications, participate in internships with local tourism partners, and graduate with a clear pathway to employment or continued education. We also recognize that the future of tourism is shaped by technology. Our curriculum will integrate artificial intelligence and digital tools to prepare students for a rapidly evolving workforce. By combining hands-on hospitality training with AI literacy, we are preparing students not just for today's jobs, but for tomorrow's opportunities. Success will be measured by outcomes and not just graduation. We fully recognize our responsibility as a publicly funded charter school. We are committed to transparency, accountability, and strong student outcomes under the Guam Academy Charter Schools Council. This school is not intended to compete with existing public schools, but to complement them, serving students who are seeking more career-directed pathway in an industry vital to Guam's economic recovery and long-term growth. Bill 256-38 presents a timely opportunity. This proposal aligns with the legislature's goals of strengthening workforce development, supporting economic sustainability, and expanding opportunities for our youth. We are ready. We have the vision, the partnerships, and the commitment to make this school successful. I would also like to add that our mission of our school is to develop globally competitive, culturally grounded leaders in tourism and hospitality who sustains Guam's natural beauty and cultural heritage. On behalf of our team and the families we hope to serve, I respectfully ask for your support. Si Jus Masi for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much to the panel members. Oh, Senator, you are recognized. There's nobody else.
Thank you. I'm just going to say I'm in full support of this bill. I am also going to be submitting testimony on behalf of Dr. Paul Pineda. And I have to acknowledge my former colleague, Senator Joe, because we served on the GDOE board. Okay, so we've come, and for me, I'm now coming full circle with my Pineda family. As you're aware, Dr. Paul Pineda and I started the iLearn Academy Charter School together, and I had to look it up because it's 11 years ago. And boy, time has flied. So we're back again. My good friend Paul Pineda said, I want to do another one, and I said, you're crazy. Okay, but you know what? We're proven, we're tested, we got the experience to do this, and we got a great team that's going to be assembled, and I got a great chairperson to the right of me here. I think that's going to keep us in check. So we're ready for your questions, Madam Chair.
Si Jus Masi, and just for the record, can you state your name so it could be?
Francis Santos.
Thank you, Senator, for being into the panel members. And again, you are right? 11 years ago, iLearn started. You guys were here. We tested it. We've had recent meetings, community meetings with Mr. Ho and the whole team to show that charter schools do work. The test scores, the synergy that the schools are going through, especially with iLearn, have been a great success. And then I know that the waiting list is there, and the opportunity to open more just gives us that this is a successful tool that can work not just for one, but for all. And being remiss that we talked about maybe several years ago, 2016, 2017, 9 years ago, that there was some difficulty in opening this pipeline and continuing this journey, but we are here today in 2026 to try it again. And I believe that this could work with the support of our colleagues. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and yield to Senator Sean for some comments or questions, and then work again and end with the Vice Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thank you to the panel for being with us this afternoon. I was hoping they were going to stay because I was going to ask them, but together, as you all are aware, together with the Guam Department of Labor, GCC established the Hotel Associate Youth Apprenticeship Program, which is a 3-year high school course preparing students for careers in hospitality and in tourism. Again, they have offered that the goal of the HIAP is to build a local workforce to mitigate Guam's recurring labor shortage. I don't know, maybe Vanjie, you can answer this, but for the record, has the HIAP been made available to any of Guam's charter high schools? And has any of Guam's private schools, I don't know if anyone can answer, but have any of the private schools expressed interest in adopting the HIAP model or otherwise participating in that program? Very relevant question for this today.
Yes, to answer your question, Senator, we've had St. Anthony as a private school that is doing this with CIFA. So it is working. It is something that just started, and as well as DOE, GDOE. So it is working.
Awesome.
And so CIFA has started this, and we did have this, I think a month ago, and it was totally successful. I just wanted, this is the first time ever. Their intent was to start this right after COVID, and that didn't work out as planned, but we did have this about a month ago, and we had GDOE, 21 participants, 21 schools from GDOE, and then we had St. Anthony Catholic School.
All right, thank you so much for that, Vanjie. Well, partnerships with hotels, tour operators, cultural practitioners, and higher education are highlighted in the bill. Can anyone in the panel walk us through how these collaborations would address both the volatility in arrivals that we've seen here in Guam and the visible need to upgrade our aging visitor infrastructure, creating clear pipelines to jobs that would strengthen our economy for the long term? Anybody want to take a crack at that? Mr. Pineda, Mr. Ho?
Okay. You know, we noticed that there has been a gap, and one thing about our charter school that we're trying to propose is that it's not just a program in other traditional schools. It's going to be the program. So we're going to integrate all of that into our charter. Okay, it comes to tourism management, hospitality, entrepreneurship, all of that. And so we are hoping that as we start getting these students out, they'll be filling the gap into the workforce that right now there hasn't been, or we feel, at least I feel, that maybe they don't have the skills that they should have as far as hospitality is concerned. And then we want to make sure to integrate also AI, because that's a new thing that's coming up. And I think, just to answer that question, that's what we're hoping to fill in.
And maybe this I can ask Mr. Ho of this, because my question was going back to the visitor plan, right? The infrastructure. So I know we can put a kid and make him understand about different aspects of the economic part of it all. But maybe like the 4-H clubs, where you learn how to plant different types of fauna that's native to Guam in areas that will be seen by tourists. Again, if I can, maybe Mr. Ho, if you can answer this, is we need to update our infrastructure, can the school be that pathway to jobs, especially in that type of industry?
Right. So if I can add, first of all, just data purpose, on Guam, we do have around 200 interns from other countries, including Korea, Japan, and even Taiwan. So we are actually helping other countries' hotel and hospitality industry. So why not we do to our own people? That's number one. And number two, we're getting older, so we need to have a young blood who has a passion, not just the willpower, but physical force that they can carry out the mission. So I want to actually add one thing. So we do have an optional tour, and one of them, very popular, is stargazing. Stargazing is basically looking at the Guam's beautiful sky and take a picture, and then a lot of Korean people loves that theme. All those things is just stemming from just the natural lives on Guam. And if we can bring our own people and then create those synergy from their personal life, I do believe they will pave the road for the future success of our tourism and hospitality.
All right, thank you so much for that, Mr. Ho. And yes, as a resident of Southern Guam, I can appreciate the idea of stargazing, absolutely. Now, parents and students across Guam are watching how tourism affects local business and employment. So in what ways would this 8th charter school give our young people the tools to become part of the solution, helping to reverse what would be downward tourism trends and to perhaps modernize the physical assets that welcome the world to our shores on a daily basis? What do you think, Mr. Pineda?
Based on, I started putting the curriculum together. Based on the curriculum, we can tailor make the curriculum to meet the needs of the industry. In my curriculum, we were talking about internship, we're talking about apprenticeship, we're also talking about making sure that they get certifications for different types of things that is related to the tourism industry. But even more than that, we want to also make sure that they're not just limited to maybe working in a restaurant, but they also should be able to expand it, that maybe they can be the person to start a restaurant, start a clothing that has anything to do with tourism. And hopefully, with their imagination, we can probably start getting all these tourists back. But I think one of the things, is that we have to start small. But I think some of the issues too that's driving all these tourists is just some of the world events that's been happening, right? But hopefully, through our charter, hopefully through all of these different type of training and education, we can start building capacity so that when the tourists do come, we're already ready to meet the needs.
And I have a high school junior who I think, as she probably watches this, is probably saying, don't use my name. But when we think about those young people, high school juniors and seniors, they have great experiences that they can bring. Obviously, a lot of it's linked to what we have in our hands, but also the experiences and things that they would want to see if they went to another place. I recently visited Korea, and I happened to go, I'm not a big fan of that ramen that has a bunch of stuff in it, but I ran into a display of it. Come and try it. At least obviously it's relevant to Korea, but maybe we should be pulling people in, try this particular dish in Guam. I know you might not like the Nancy, but you might want to come in and try this, or maybe try this type of ice cream. But if we can look at more modern ways, we're in 2026. I think that we should be listening more, and what comes out of things like the charter school could be of absolute help to maybe revitalizing our tourism plan. Whether it's technology, whether it's food, whether it's what to look at, As Mr. Ho mentioned, stargazing. I think there's really great opportunities, and I'm hoping that this would be the impetus for what we would see at the 8th charter school here in Guam. And I just want to say for the record, Madam Chair, I know that didn't get to talk to you about this before, but on this particular one, I would hope that at some point, if it goes to the other side of the building, that you'll add me as a co-sponsor to this bill. Thank you so much.
Most definitely. Senator San Augustine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to start out with number one. The bill's first got to change. It's not going to say from 7 to 8. It should say 7 to 9. We already discussed that earlier on the other bill. I just say this, Madam Chair, but as we move on, as the people of Guam are listening, we're not really talking about adding 1. We're already going now to adding 2. And by the time we're done with the other bill, we're adding number 3. Yes. So we make it very clear. That's really what it's going to end up being, okay? So we already know it's on the committee report. This bill will change from 7 to 9. The next bill can change from 7 to 10 and whatever the committee decides. But, I have no reservations. Mr. Ho, you were part of you're the gentleman that got, what's the name of that school? I wanted to tease Senator Santos about that. I learned, and if we remember correctly, I was the senator that was pushing to get that road open so you can build I-Learn. So, I-Learn has done a lot. I know a lot of families, they're very supportive. Is this going to be another I-Learn charge? No, I'm just teasing, okay? No. Well, and the reason why I said that because when they said, Mr. Pineda, I looked at the Madam Chair and said, that's not Paul. I remember Paul. Paul looks a little bit younger than him, just teasing. But, I'm in support of the bill, and we just move forward. Let's just do what we need to do, and let's just get it fixed. And one thing I'm going to be hoping for is when we talk in the budget, and we start talking about the question of providing the charter school the funding, we take a look at GVB and says, if you don't help these people, then there's something wrong of us giving you more money. We got to all work together as one. Because if we don't work together as one, we're setting ourselves up for failures. When you work on this bill, you work on the other bills, you're talking about the people of Guam. We're not talking about Tina or me. No, it's about the people. And as we all work on the budget and we discuss funding for charter schools, GVB, don't ask too much because if the charter school is not going to move forward, for our people, and Mr. O said that correctly, instead of bringing people to hire, why don't we get our people educated? Let's get our people ready to move on, take over those jobs. And then we all succeed, and then we move on. And with that, Madam Chair, 7 to 9, and then we'll move on the next bill, 7 to 10. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator San Augustine. I will note for the record, as the presider of this public hearing, that as officially introduced, it had to be separate. We had to deal with what's on citation right now. But when we do the committee update, that it will show that the number of schools and the recommendation from the good senator from Agana, right? Or Tumuning, Telo? You're from Agana or Tumuning?
Tumuning or Inalahan.
Or Inalahan. The good senator from Inalahan made some positive...
Share my love here.
made some positive recommendations to incorporate the 3 bills. Yeah. But as based on the standing rules, each separate mission mandate will have a separate bill, and that's why it was introduced in that nature. But Senator San Augustine knows that we will note there's 3 bills on the agenda, and the support from the Charters Council to move from 7 to 10 has its support, so that's what we're looking at. And I will be remiss if she didn't mention, like, really, I wasn't asking for 10, I was asking for 12. So yes, I did hear that under your breath. Senator Taitagui from Inalahan, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, thank you so much for being here and those who are listening. I'm pretty sure we got some parents out there who are listening right now and kind of worried, those who are going to public school. Now you can imagine their sentiments at this point, having X amount of people leaving the private schools, well, I mean, not private schools, leaving DOE schools for these charter schools, as well as private schools, St. Anthony, et cetera, Academy, they're all like, oh my goodness, more charter schools. Now, everybody knows that the cost for a student to attend a charter school doesn't cost them if they meet within a certain criteria. This is free private school, if you ask me. And every parent has been trying to get their children in. That's why there's such a line. There's such a demand for it. But this will affect DOE, and we need to be conscious of that. Going from 7 to 8 may not be so much of a bearing, but from 8 to 9 will hurt a little bit more. But can you imagine by August of this year, close to 500 to 1,000 students being taken out of public schools? Now, I always said that if we're seeing the shift of students from DOE to charter schools, then we should also see a shift in how much we provide DOE funding and to match it. But and we're already seeing places like Chief Brody closing down because they don't need that. We see Southern High School for years only being half used. What's another school that they intended to close down to, Senator San Augustine? There was other school that they were intention to close. Truman?
It's someone down south. I know that. They're not too sure exactly yet. And I hope not. I hope not.
So you're looking at a lot of closures. But the way I see it is, how do we make it work? Because we know charter schools are producing great students. The data is coming back showing this. Focused on their career keeps those kids in school. They have a goal. It's not just finishing school, but after school. So we have to keep that in mind. So on my question on the CT programs, how many schools will this affect in the charter schools that have CTE programs? Evange, can you tell me how many schools are there already in technical, career technical education? As well as the DOE.
Okay, I like to say, Senator, that this, again, I say this time and time again, this is not against GDOE against charters, right? Because I have a lot of family members that work at GDOE, a lot of them. And I'm talking immediate family members. But it's not taking away from that. Just know that a lot of them came from private schools. A lot of them are coming, like Father Duenas. 7 last year alone went to one school, went to business and technology, the old San Vicente, came from the Father Duenas, 7 students. And because times are hard, parents, if they have their way, they'd keep them at Father Duenas. Nothing bad about Father Duenas, but money's tight. At the end of the day, we're providing this service, and they put their sons at business and technology, doing well, and they love it. With that said, it's not only GDOE. We're not taking away from GDOE. It's a lot of the private schools, and we have DODEA. Ask me why DODEA's parents want to put them outside. Could be different factors. It could be they want them to be a part of the community outside. Because I had one parent that said, all we do is shop in base, stay in base, we don't come out and we don't appreciate the island. So they put their kids in charter schools. So these are different things and factors that exist, but it's not taken away from the GDOE. We have a very good rapport with Superintendent Dr. Wampat, and she shares a lot of great things, like, she's an expert at charter schools. She's like, Madam Chair, take a look at this.
She wrote the bill.
Yes. She's an author of the bill, of this bill, the charter school bill law. But with that, she provides a lot of that for us. So we work hand in hand, I like to say this, but a lot of them come from the different private schools and from DODEA.
So back to the question.
Yes.
How many schools will be affected with having another CTE program put in play?
I like to say none. I don't think
so
none of them
career
will
technical education will not be affected.
I don't think so, Senator. I think what this will do will
focus on one.
Yes, well, it would help the different charters work in alignment, and it will, every time there's a new charter, it makes the existing charter schools work harder. And it's a good thing, because there's a sense of good competitiveness. And when we talk, when they become a charter, they will see this. We meet every so often, and all of us kind of share, and they, boast about their successes and can you do better? It's a very positive, competitive between the 7 charter schools. So I don't think it would hurt any charter. I think it would align more, and it will have them more driven to stay focused on their mission and do well. I'm all about positiveness with the charter. There's enough room to go around for success.
Well, that being said, when enough room to move around, my concern too is being able to lift the caps on some of these charter schools.
Yes.
They've been at a certain level for quite some time where they obviously can fill more seats in their school, and there is a waiting list. So,
yes.
I don't want us to see us growing so quickly in allowing more charter schools when we have the opportunity to grow a charter school who wants their caps to be lifted. So what do you say about that?
Senator, thank you for the question. I've sat with all the 7 charter schools, and we've talked about this. And all the 7 existing said, Madam Chair, this is what my biggest concern is. I don't want them to have the same duplicate service. So this is why I reiterated in the very beginning that as long as they can come with a different mission, okay, and not the exact same mission as the existing charters, they're okay with it. They're really okay with it. Like that was the biggest concern, you would think, career tech, you would think because they're down at Santa Rita Agate that there would not be a population, or Mount Carmel who's down there. They're exceeding well. I mean, you got career tech who's increased in the last 2 years, went from 80 students to almost 200. There's a growth, but a lot of it is how you approach this. Again, the leadership and the innovative of each charter to advertise or market their school. And then once their students are there, they love it. So it all factors in. So I'm saying that the success for each charter, as long as they don't duplicate, that's the concern of the 7 charters. So we've talked about there's room to grow. I'm going to say 10 to 12 charters. I think that's a lot already for the island.
Do you think that would hinder the possibility of the current charter schools to not be able to lift their cap?
Well, I know that one of the charters is looking to move into a bigger place, to a bigger location. They're going through the process of procurement, so I can't speak on that. And then we have another charter that is looking at the option of moving within the next year. So yes, growth is a part of theirs, and they're looking for a bigger school facility. And
so
we are very cognizant of the money situation, and cap to increase the schools or cap to increase per student people. Either way, there is a need for both.
Okay, so there's a need for both, and you don't think that by increasing the amount of schools is going to jeopardize that?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I wanted to get that on the record.
Okay, no, ma'am.
Secondly, have you had the opportunity to talk to DOE, the superintendent, to talk to them, to let them know that your intentions about moving forward to grow the charter schools?
No, but
you haven't had a
chance
chance to talk to.
I will.
Okay.
No, I haven't. But thank you for bringing that to my attention, Senator Tidegui. I will make that a point to sit with the superintendent, Dr. Wampat, and we will discuss it. That's very important. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's very important.
Yes.
Because it's obvious you want to grow.
Yes.
And you need, her to understand why. And actually, she can even offer certain circumstances where it's important, not important, but where allowing that to happen is probably in the best interest of Department of Education at this point. with the schools that are breaking down, the schools that cannot be maintained, and move forward. That this may, and then there's a win-win for everybody, and everyone's taken care of. So we're moving in that direction. Again, I'm very supportive of charter schools and its focus, and I'm glad that new innovative ways to focus on careers for our children throughout school, throughout their elementary, middle school, and high school is just amazing. You can imagine by the time they get out of high school how well versed they are than most people who's been in the industry for like years. So we're pushing for that. I'm not saying it could happen, but secondly, I just wish, Madam Chair, that we do get some kind of testimony from the Superintendent of Education. And as I mentioned before, for something like this to happen could be detrimental to DOE, and all the parents who have children in DOE right now kind of concerned, okay, where are we? And are we going to be maintaining that? Madam Chair, that being said, my last few seconds, I have a procurement class I have to go to. So I have to excuse myself because I have to go to class. Thank you so much. And I will be listening to the next one via YouTube so that I don't miss a beat. And thank you so much for being here this afternoon, Mr. Ho. Thank you. And everyone, Francis, and of course, sir, thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Tadagui. And before I give the Vice Speaker the opportunity to say his sentiments on this measure, or to share his sentiments on this measure, I will note that the 7 charter schools that have been very successful for our island of Guam, we have in no particular order, Hurrah, who has a full immersion of the Chamorro program, and that has been very successful. As we've seen, even 4-year-olds, I can attest my grandson is now going to that school, came from a private school, going to that school at 4 years old, or 3 years old, speaking fluent Chamorro and reading in Chamorro. I learned with computer literacy and what they've done. Like I said earlier, I was at a meeting where we've seen the test scores from the students at I learned that have literally beat the national level of test scores, and that Guam is doing very well. If not compatible to the test scores, we are higher. And you can agree with that, Mr. Ho, as it relates to I Learn, right? On BTAX, just went to a presentation on over the weekend with Women in Aviation, having a collaboration with BTAX and their mission mandate, which is full aviation. And we have already had several of our local students, a couple of them being women, have been able to fly their first plane and their Cessna. So was very proud to be a part of that when the Lieutenant Governor called up Ms. Kramer and a lot of the other pilots who are still in high school and being able to fly. Who would think that we could be the Embry-Riddle of here on our island of Guam in that representation, and the students don't have to pay in the hundreds of thousands to go to school back there in the mainland. We can do it right here because we're seeing that success now. I'm just putting a plug in for all the existing charter schools today. Guahan is with direct instruction and working off of the alternative, and they've come back to track and are doing well. Mount Carmel is an emphasis in the science and the music, and have really produced a lot of talented students who are in the professional arena today as we speak. SIFA is science is fun and awesome, working with the STEM, the math and the sciences, engineering and STEM T is for technology. Right, thank you. And then, of course, we have Career Tech. It's in Agate that has an emphasis on career tech in construction. So as we look, ladies and gentlemen, in the listening audience, and we look at the present charter schools that exist today, the emphasis are all different, but yet we have students, there's a waiting list like you said, Madam Chair, for the Charter Council, that there has been a request from some of the schools to increase. And we know that with organic growth, our island will continue to grow. We're up at 170,000 residents here on our island of Guam and growing. And we've got to continue to look forward. And I'm glad that the good senator from Inalahan spoke about you communicating with the new superintendent of the Guam Department of Education. So for those who know the history of the legislature, I was the second co-sponsor to the author of the charter school bill and had a very many months and years to get these charter school the charter school legislation off the ground, and it was none other than Speaker Judy Wampat. At the time, I was their second co-sponsor, and who would think 24 years later we're still talking about the successes of charter schools and wanting to move forward. And I think, you know, I always said what may not have been good back then is so much better today, and vice versa, but we literally need to work with the times. And I've had the opportunity to speak to all of you that's here on the panel, and Senator, you're right, we've got to grow. The beginnings of iLearn and the students we have today, the successes we've seen, the technology on computer growing with young kids, you cannot stop. I'm not taking away from any of the other educational components from both the private and the public sector, but this is an opportunity for us to have our students learn and grow, and even get creative with working on a dual track to seeing that we can go to high school and look at getting an associate's degree in that setting and fitting. So, Vice Speaker, I'm going to yield to you for your comments and questions to this panel, and hopefully that we can look at these bills further and give it its fair consideration. Please proceed.
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I forgot my questions now. But
I had to give the history, Vice Speaker.
yeah, I forgot what I was going to ask. I was so engrossed in listening to your. No. Yeah. Mr. Pineda, I just wanted to find out, should this bill pass, where are you ready to open in the next coming school year? I mean, where are we looking at? I mean, do you already have a facility in place? Do you have teachers in line and things of that nature?
Yes, Senator Ada, as you know, my family and I, we founded St. Paul back in '97. And prior to that, I was teaching at the Department of Education since 1987. Senator Gumatauta remembers. And so we are ready. I mean, we have the teachers already in place. We have facilities. We have two options as far as the facility is concerned. We can absorb the students right now at the St. Paul campus, but I was speaking to Mr. Ho. There is a possibility that we might be able to move into the duty-free shopping facility. And that would be a great location because it's close to the tourism district. We can have kids go and already do apprenticeship with the different hotels and also restaurants and businesses that are out there. So I just want to let you know we are ready. If it passes, we're ready to start in August. Yes, sir.
And at the onset, what are you looking at for the student population for the new school year?
Yeah, we're looking at 100 high school students.
100?
I think that's doable. And then, of course, we'd like to scale that up. But I think it's doable that we can absorb 100 students, Senator.
Mm-hmm. Ms. Vanjie, you were talking about, Senator Taidiwi was mentioning earlier about the increasing the cap, the student population at the different charter schools, or you were mentioning about the increase in per pupil from 78 to 83. Those discussions were ongoing, and what did the charter schools, which route did they prefer to take, the 8,300 per student or an increase in cap? Because
Yeah.
It's a one or the other, right?
Yes. Thank you, Vice Speaker. That is a tough question. That was brought up on our budget discussion as well as our education work session. And so they asked me if I had to choose between raising the 8.3 cap from 7.8 to 8.3 with the existing, or doing this, the 3. So of course, our 7 charter schools said that, can we increase the cap? It's been long awaited. So that's the choice. If I had to pick, I have to take care of my babies now, as I would say, right? That's the truth. I would have to pick one or the other. And that would be a tough answer, but that would be the answer, Vice Speaker.
What was the consensus of the 7 charter schools? Cap or
To
per
increase the
pupil?
cap to 8.3.
To increase the per pupil to 8,300?
Yes.
Okay, so, and that was taken by a vote, or how was that?
That was just outright discussion.
All right, okay.
Yeah, because that's what was brought from the chair in education. It's brought that to my attention. And, he said, Madam Chair, I'm going to tell you now, times are hard. I'm going to prepare you if you had to choose between one or the other. And I said, wow, that's a hard pill to swallow. But, so you're asking me this today. That was the consensus of what the 7 charter schools, when we discussed it, that was their concern.
Okay, so, all right, that's, Madam Chair, that's the only question, right? Thank you.
Thank you
Madam
very
Chair,
much.
can I got to put on my former hat as a superintendent. I think when you reflect back on what is really happening, the growth of the charter schools has a lot to do with what was happening in the GDOE schools also. Well, you just need to remind ourselves of that. But in my experience of working with the iLearn leadership there, right, I always reminded Helena, Shahira, and Rachel, chase the enrollment number, because the enrollment number is what you need to prove that your concept is working, okay? Your per pupil cost will be there, okay? The proof is when you can manage what you got at what was 7,000. What it is today, prove that you can do that and have it be proven more when you show the results of what your school is doing. Unfortunately for iLearn, it grew too fast. Okay, so that the success was proven thanks to Mr. Ho. We moved from a gym in Jigo, Trinity, was that Trinity? We physically moved there, 150 of us, and within 1 year, we had no choice. The waiting list was too long that we had to move into barracks that he had available for us. And we grew that up basically to 500-600. And I reminded Helen and Rachel, chase, I think it's 740, right? Yes. And lo and behold, we opened a new school, thanks to Mr. Ho and Paul Pineda, maxed out, okay? And there's no room to grow at that school. That's why I believe they're looking for a new facility. I think it's incumbent upon the senators to address the cap, because obviously there's a need out there, and more importantly, because of inflation, address the per pupil cost, because I guess I need to bring it up, Senator Tina. If you really want to look at the numbers, all you have to do is go to GDOE and compare the per pupil costs of a GDOE student against a public school charter student. That's 7,800, okay? The math is there.
It's a $5,000 difference.
Well, the number again depends on what school you're at. If you chase it, again, I learned when I was working with them, I said the largest elementary school, if I could remember properly, I believe is is it Finnegogen? It's all the Deditos schools, right? Yes. So if you go up to 900, 950, Senator Joe, we worked on this. I said, that's really the number that you want, and then you're maxed out. Yes. You cannot be larger than a GDOE elementary school. That's just not going to happen. But there's your number. But I believe today, Vice Speaker, it's more a function of the fact that there's no more space for these schools to grow. I would hope that, the senators, together with the GDU, figure out what you're going to do with these empty schools. I mean, you cannot continue to have Chief Brody sit and rot. That is criminal, senators. Okay, you can't do that. You also can't do that with Tumuling Elementary School or whatever. Can't, senators, please. You know, those facilities have to be used, again, for the benefit of GDOE, since it was there. So we implore you to please look at that as you go down the budget cycle and try to figure the math, as we call it, Senator Joe. That's the hat you used to wear. We both wear that hat. It's a challenge, but if education is the most important thing for our kids today, that's how you got to do that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Senator Sanchez. I think it's really important to realize that in times like this, we can look at adapting, improvising, and overcoming. And as happened in the past just recently, we've looked at the opportunity for the educational department to get creative, and if they have to work on the buildings that are not being utilized because of the enrollment of the students, then we can shift and pivot into whether renting or collaborating or working with others to utilize those buildings so they don't become useless, if you know what I mean. I'm trying to be nice here, right? And people, because everybody knows that when a building becomes vacant, it turns down into being derelict, and people steal everything that's worth anything, and the copper and all that, the equipment that's there, and we can't have that happen. We have to be positive, and you've got bipartisan support coming into this public hearing to see what we can do to better the opportunity for our children moving forward. We look at organic growth. We look at the numbers that are happening within the successful 7 charter schools that exist today, and we're getting creative to include the opportunity to move forward in the other mission mandates for these new schools to come in. So I also talked about the history. I talked about the positive results that are coming out of all these charter schools. That doesn't mean that I'm taking away from the Department of Education. I'm saying based on organic growth alone, we need to continue to build. And what better way than to have this collaboration with the community out there, with the private vendors to help out. Yes, it becomes a public charter school, but it's still a part of the government and the responsibility. We are just getting support from the industry that can help manage, and we've seen the successes, so why not continue to build upon? So I say, the godmother of charter schools is now the superintendent of the Department of Education. What better way than to collaborate? We've seen the senators, you, Senator Sanchez, and us sitting up here. I have over 24 years in. He has somewhere close to 10. And my colleagues that are here have many years to support, with the exception of the freshman senator here. I was saying that, but but the opportunity, I will say, is right. And I think the community is not going to fault us for at least trying to step outside, get creative, step outside of the box, and let's see what we can do. And that doesn't mean that we can't collaborate with the Department of Education, because Speaker Wampat at the time saw the vision to move these charter schools forward. And we've done that successfully. Let's not take that away from the island of Guam. And you, as experts in the field of making charter schools work for our community, let's not stop. I mean, Career Tech alone talked about the maritime collaborations that they have, not just in construction, not just in technology, but we can grow upon that. And yes, you may need our permission, but I almost wish to say that I think there should be an opportunity to give some parameters, open the parameters for the Charter Council to choose. And that's something that can be revisited with the concerted effort working with the Education Department. And I know that the good chair of education, Senator Borja, has been really receptive in finding the balance for education as a whole and in general, and making sure it works for everybody. So I want to say thank you for coming this afternoon to speak on this Bill 256-38 COR and supporting the efforts. There was no opposition that has come in. I'm going to ask that for those who wish to present testimony, they can do so by sending it to the Senator Vince Borja.com. Am I saying that right? I'll get the right address and do it at closing, or even at senator.munyabarnes@guamlegislature.gov. So with that being said, I will call if there's no more testimony from the audience, that Bill number 256-38 COR has been publicly heard. Again, those wishing to present testimony via in writing or through electronic form can do it for the next 7 days by sending it to Guam Legislature or to Senator Vince Borja's office or my office. Thank you very much. And we do have one more bill, so you're more than welcome to stay. I know that the chairperson...
Vandy, just stay, don't go to
Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and proceed without a recess since there's only one named individual on the listing to speak on Bill number 264-38 COR, which was introduced by myself, Senator Tina Rose Muñoz-Barnes, which is an act to amend Section 12106H of Chapter 12, Title 17, Guam Code Annotated, relative to increasing the cap on charter schools from 7 to 8 to advance early intervention and inclusive education. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill number 264-38 will establish an early intervention and exclusive education charter school. I know that there is a real need in the community for this type of school, this type of educational learning. I will note, though, for the record, as presented to me, to my office personally, that the representatives of this charter school want to, at this time, just put a temporary pause on this measure, but it was still important that I proceed with this. I still want to open this up for public testimony and tell the island of Guam that that there is this need for this kind of education component, and if anyone else would want to give testimony can do so at this time. So the opportunity is still open for this education component for this charter school if they so wish to come back. They were just asking for a temporary hold so that they can make sure that all their logistics in place. So at this time, I will note to you, Madam Chairman of the Charter Council, to please proceed on your oral testimony. Please state your name for the record.
Thank you, and good afternoon, Senators. My name is Evangeline M. Cepeda, and I am the Guam Academy Charter School Council Chair. Today, I strongly advocate for this particular bill, and I'll explain why. Bill, I'm in full support, the council is in full support of bill number 264-38. When they came to meet with us, we do not have this type of specific service. So as Senator Tina Muñoz-Barnes stated, this Mrs. Garrido, her specific master's degree is in Division of Special Ed. She worked for the Department of Education in the Division of Special Ed. She's got a wealth of experience, and she has a daycare as well. Her and her partner would like to open a charter school exclusive for children with disabilities, and I love how she's very, very cautious with her words because she's a person with this expertise inclusive education. And this is for, she says that there is a barrier for students that are from 4 years old to about 5th grade, and she's hoping to open it to 8th grade, where the chart, if this is passed, this specific charter will assist children with special needs. Specifically, special needs and early intervention, and she will provide charter school education. The mission is to not only help these specific students with a disability, whether it be autism or whatever it may be in the spectrum. She and her team have the expertise in this, and they would like to open a charter where it's got a daycare mentality, a inside playground. It's amazing. She's provided us all the different stuff to have these little, how to do social skilling, how to deal with their character building, and still teach them in a way that's innovative, away from the regular classroom mentality. When she came to us, she even provided us where the location was going to be. The reason why she's asked to put this on hold is because when she came to us, she didn't realize the requirement that it takes to be a charter. This was very new to her and her team. I told them you had to get a nonprofit organization document, you got to get it signed by the revenue and tax, you got to get this. You know, I gave her a list. We provided her a list of what to do. And I told her before she can become a charter, you already have to have this in place. So they are working on this, and that's the reason why she's asked to put this on hold. But this specific bill will cater to, and we don't have this type of service. As a matter of fact, Mr. Will Castro, when we brought this up to his attention when we had our meeting, he said, you know, we serve the deaf. So can she assist us with this? And I said, this is the beauty of collaboration. This becomes a charter. This can also assist children that go to other charters with a disability. And so this specific bill is something that we need, that we do not have in the charters. It's something very innovative with her, and they're experts in this specific division of special ed. And they'll meet the mandates and cater to, and their facility will be made to cater to the specific child. And it's not in a classroom environment. It's more like a, it's amazing. And you know, I wish I brought it with me today, but they provided us a 2-hour presentation. And so I can say, senators, that this Bill 264-38, there is a great need to serve this population, this specific student population. And I almost guarantee you that if this becomes a charter, you're going to have parents who have children with disability go to this particular charter because it caters to their needs. And you can see the growth in it. So I'm in full support of this. I hope, you know, that once they pass this and they go through the process and they meet all the mandates under the council, I know that the council's already talked that we're going to pass this approve this because there is a need. There's absolutely a need. We don't have this in any of our charter schools. So not only will this charter help the students that need this kind of service, but it will help other charter schools that have students attending that charter. We work as a team. And so with that, I'm going to say that please support this and consider this particular bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chairwoman, for the opportunity to speak in support. And before I yield to my colleagues, I just want to note that the successes that we see in the national level right now, I will share for the record that my great-grandson is nonverbal autistic.
Yes.
He's on the spectrum, and not having the complete services in this arena here on the island, this would just open that opportunity. The successes in the state of Arizona
Yes.
has been amazing, and we don't need to reinvent the wheel. All we need to do is emulate and bring the successes of what's happening in that state and other states in the nation, and template it to what we have here. And like you noted earlier, the only temporary pause was to make sure that the logistical
Yes.
component of what the organization needed was in order, and that paperwork is being transitioned right now, but it wouldn't stop us from at least hearing this, so that it could take them through the next hurdle that would have to go through in as far as the logistics and making it happen for them. So at this time, I'm going to yield Senator Sean for any questions or statements on this Bill 264.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Vanjie, for being with us today. Madam Chair, just a couple of comments more so. I just wanted to this is more for the record. On March 11th, 2026, the Acting Superintendent of Education, Dr. Judith Wampat, sent a letter requesting the Governor's approval of GDOE's Certificate of Emergency to procure speech-language pathology, occupational therapy, and physical therapy services to special education students within the Guam Department of Education, charter schools, and private schools. Now, according to Dr. Wampat, the lack of occupational therapy services impacts 512 students with disabilities across GDOE public schools, 10 students in the charter schools, and 11 students in private schools. The lack of speech therapy services impacts 219 students with disabilities across GDOE public schools, 46 students with disabilities in our charter schools, and 18 students with disabilities in our private institutions. The lack of physical therapy services impacts 90 students with disabilities across GDOE public schools, 1 student with disabilities in our charter schools, and 1 student with disabilities in our private schools. Madam Chair, as we are speaking right now, and I'm just going to focus on our autism spectrum disorder for just a bit. The governor at this time, at this hour, is proclaiming the month of April as Autism Month, and it's an important Autism Awareness Month. It's important for our community to be more aware of this particular month as we look at those folks and our community in support of this important initiative. Next week, my office will be is preparing for a legislative resolution to recognize April 2026 as Autism Awareness Month. It'll be next Tuesday evening right here at the Guam Congress Building. Madam Chair, many autism spectrum disorder or ASD families on Guam, they tell me that they face fragmented services and a traditional public school system that quite frankly lacks the capacity for individualized, coordinated early intervention and so to the committee, I would hope that the committee can get this answered for the bill. In what ways would this dedicated public charter school reduce the strain on our families by delivering whole child development in a specialized, inclusive environment? Vanjie, I'm not asking for an answer, but I was hoping they would be here. That's okay, but I think for the record, if we can get that answered, that'd be great. Also, Madam Chair, research shows that consistent early intervention dramatically improves cognitive development, communication skills, socialization, academic readiness, and quality of life for children with autism. My question for the committee was, how would this new charter school help close the gap that currently exists in our public education system and prevent the need for more intensive and far more costly services later in a child's life? And finally, Madam Chair, for the committee, parents of children with ASD to include, I am certain your own grandchildren. I can tell you that my in-laws in the same case, they often share stories of feeling isolated or having to fight for every service that's provided to their children. How would the creation of this particular charter school empower Guam's autism community by offering a true public school choice that places inclusive education and neurodevelopment support at the center of its mission? Madam Chair, it's an important policy, and I know that there's a little bit more expansion, and the cap may not be enough, but I still really do support this particular effort and very encouraged by some of the the studies that are found in schools in the state of Arizona that can really provide this important service to our people. Madam Chair, that's all I had, and thank you very much for the time
Thank
today.
you, Senator Sean. If Gumatauta, can I mention something to you?
Sure, please.
When they came and did the presentation, they said, you know why we're using blue and light blues? And Madam Chair, and I said, no, but please share with me. She goes, colors matters for every little thing. So when the students will come to our charter, everything is of a different color because it stimulates their mind. And so she was saying, with this particular bill, she said to me, Madam Chair, I'm going to tell you this is going to work because they can't, these special children cannot go into a regular school setting. They're not built that way. They're built to come in and there has to be a sense of trust from the very get-go. And I'm glad you mentioned early because she said you can't start them 5 years old or 6 years old. It's too late. You got to start them when they're like 2 or 3. And they come in and they get tested. And if they are, then they're put in and the colors change because this will motivate them, their mind, their way of thinking, opening, little stuff like that we're not aware of, that we take for granted. They've brought it and they impressed the hell out of us because even their classroom, they showed us pictures of their classrooms. So I was like, whoa, this is a great need. And she said, this is being with the Department of Special Education, which that's her degree, her specific degree. And she and her team, this is their specialized field. So these are the experts that will be opening this charter if it passes. And this is why I say strongly, if any of these bills, it would be this bill that I will fight for because there is an absolute need. And even our other charters are saying already that if this passes, they're going to request a need. So I just wanted to mention that to you, that this particular charter, if it becomes a charter, is going to be like Chief Arao. They're going to go from this, it's even going to be maybe more, because how do we turn away a parent to say your child is more important than this next child? So we already know, and they made it clear to us, the demand is out there, that when they were talking about opening a charter, the parents were already saying, I want my child there. So if this becomes a law, this bill becomes a law, and it passes, I'm going to tell you right now, the demand is there. They're not going to start off at 75. I know this, and I'm not going to lie to you. The need is out there, and parents are demanding more, or wanting more for their child. There is a need in this specific bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and close, but Senator San Augustine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me start out with first, like I did with the last bill. It's not 7 to 8, it's 7 now to 10. Okay, let's just make that very clear so it's on the matter record. Number 2, I support the bill. My only concern is that there are other agencies other than DOE that's involved. You know, DICIT, Public Health. I'm just concerned, and I want to make sure it's known that they need to collaborate with whatever gets created. Okay, that's one. Number 2, you've already identified, these are folks that are going to start this charter school is from DOE. You know, my colleague said, DOE asked for emergency allowance to hire people. They've been doing that for years. They've been trying to hire at DOE. I'm only worried that when this charter school can get started, will they have adequate staff to succeed? Because today, you know, you and I, Madam Chair, we can say, hey, we can do this. But let's be realistic, huh? Yes, you know the program, you know what you need to do, but do you have the staff to manage it? Because when you say they test early, 4th, 5th grade, well, you know, you're talking about Head Start, you're talking about, you know, you just keep going up the grades, right? And then you're looking at expanding, because on the charter school, you know, you always have to remember that under 121. I ran out of time already? Okay, good. You don't have to click it. I'm okay. On section 12106H on chapter 12, you know how it is the types of school? We got to be very careful how the committee is going to change that, because it's got to state it's not an elementary, it's not a charter. Okay, you need to work with them, okay? Because they're not going to identify themselves as an elementary school, a middle school, a high school. It's not a school servicing elementary or middle. No, it's. Madam Chair, be very careful. You say elementary, it ends at 5th grade, right? All I'm saying is, let's be careful, because.
Can we just repeat that again, Madam Chair?
Okay, I am sorry.
Just because it needs to be on the record.
Okay,
Sorry,
yeah, thank you.
Senator. Please proceed.
My response to that was elementary is 5th and 6th grade. It depends how you put it, because 6th grade can be considered middle school. It depends how you look at it, but from kindergarten or pre-kindergarten to 5th grade is considered elementary.
But I'm trying to be very careful how we try to restrict ourselves.
Understood.
Elementary only. The disability doesn't go away after elementary.
Yes.
So be very careful how we say it's only in elementary. We need to have to tweak that a little bit on the report, under the definition of the type of charter school. This could be a elementary all the way to high school, and work right into the career tech and all these other aspects. I just want to make sure we're very clear. We need it. It's obvious. There's a demand, but we don't want to restrict ourselves to say only elementary, and then we say later on, you know, we needed this at middle school. Everybody's going to turn back on the recording and say, Senator Snoxy said that. Don't restrict it.
Okay.
Because when you restrict it, when you tie your hands, don't ask me to untie. I'll just say Benetsu.
Noted.
The opportunity is there to make sure, because we're talking about charter school.
Right.
We're talking about a need for a child.
Right.
We want to make sure the needs are there. We want to make sure district gets involved, public health gets involved, because there's federal grants that can help this program.
Right.
Not only government local funds.
That's right.
And it's got to work. I mean, when you said from 78 to 83, this school may require more, because the specialty they need may need a federal grant to compensate for the need. You could probably recruit, and once the governor signs for the specialty doctors and health people coming out, maybe we can bring in the other types of specialty that can help our children.
Right.
And then we move forward from there.
Noted, Senator.
Okay? So I just wanted to make sure that's clear. And thank you, Madam Chair. I'm in full support of this.
Thank you.
Worry about the floor, and then I'll get my name on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Will do. Vice Speaker Atta, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Vanjie,
Yes.
I was hoping that those that were, advocating for this charter school would be here at least to testify on the bill.
Yes.
Because you're right, it's truly important. Services that is not offered in a charter system, I think that even if they came forward to testify,
right.
Would have put more emphasis on how important it is, regardless if they were ready or not.
Okay, Vice Speaker, I'm sorry, with the two that have, that have come before the charter, to be a charter, one of them, they have a death in the family, and the other one is getting the information for this particular. Yeah, and it's unfortunate that when this was put in the calendar, we called them and they were like, oh my God, we have a death in the family, and the second one was still in the States getting all the information.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
perhaps
but
maybe later on what we can do is have a second public hearing.
Absolutely.
For a markup for this.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
And how many students were they looking at in this particular charter?
Okay, so they were,
with?
when I spoke with them, they were looking to start off with at least 75.
75.
75 to start with.
All right.
Yes, because they want to focus and concentrate on the 75. And thank you, sir. If there's a growth and a demand, which we all know there is, that this will definitely grow, but that's what they would like to start off with.
So if a student moves from one charter to another charter school, how does that funding move with them?
So so we talked about this with the other charters. So what it is they did mention, because they want to do early and the elementary. That's where they really want to focus on, like, because that's where the need is at, right? So if there is a need for a student with a disability, they're offering, I'm sorry, Senator, they're offering that one of their staff can also do what they call go to the school of that service and provide service there. See, this is why he said it would commingle with all the other charters and help them. So this is a plus. It's like one new charter school, but helping the other charters with students with disabilities.
All right. Because I know going from public school to charter, then that funding goes with that child.
Yes.
But how about from charter back to public school? Does that, and when does that funding follow that child?
Okay, so Vice Speaker, the charter schools are the only one in the entire government of Guam that is built different. We're not, even if we're appropriated, they don't get paid off, and they actually give us receipts every month that DOE, if they provide us, and that's the actual enrollment of the month, that's the actual payment that will be paid out. So nothing is lost. Okay. So if they put 81 and it went to 80, they'll only get paid for 80 students. That's how it works. Now, the bad thing about that is that if it goes from 81 and they decide, okay, we're just gonna take them in Miss Cepeda, and they go from 81 to 89, the charter writes that out and pays for that until there's actual numbers is appropriated and passed by this body. That's the uniqueness, and charter schools are the only ones that do that. We're given appropriation, but guess what? Every month is based on receipts, and the actual student enrollment of that particular time that you're requesting is the actual payout. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate it. Madam Chair, I'm done.
Thank you very much, Vice Speaker. And again, thank you, Madam Chair Cepeda, for coming and giving your support for Bill number 264-38. And I know that there are no other folks in the audience wishing to speak on this bill, so I'm going to say that no further testimony or questions for the panel. This will conclude the public hearing bill for 256-38 COR. And at this time, I want to thank everyone who came to testify here today. I want to share that these bills are a step forward toward greater alignment and integration with our workforce needs, but it also prepares our students for real economy, for the real economy of Guam. And I want to say that through partnerships with the Guam Community College, we are creating a pathway where students can move from high school into industry certifications, college degree programs, and ultimately the workforce even before graduating. And this creates a true workforce pipeline. At the same time, we are being intentional about where the pipeline leads. In CTA fields, we are preparing students for high demand and emerging industries. In tourism and hospitality, we are strengthening one of Guam's core economic pillars by investing in a locally trained workforce that understands the industry extends beyond hotel operations to the delivery of an authentic, culturally grounded visitor experiences. And that is what makes this approach different. It is Guam focused. It reflects our workforce needs, our economic realities, and our long-term vision. We are not importing a model. We are shaping one that prepares our students to succeed here at home. But also, I want to extend, before I move to adjourn, just to everyone who's joined us here today, whether you provided oral testimony here in the public hearing room or submitted written comments. Your insights are very invaluable. I am hopeful that the information gathered today with the help of this committee strengthens Bill number 252-38 COR, Bill number 256-38 COR, and Bill number 264-38 COR as they move forward in this legislative process. And for those listening to this public hearing today, and you still wish to provide testimony, the committee will continue to accept written testimony on these bills within 7 days from today, which may be addressed to myself or be addressed to Senator Vincent Borja as chairman of the Committee on Education, Libraries, and Public Broadcasting, and mailed to the DNA Building Suite 502, 238 Archbishop Flores Street, Hagåtña, Guam, 96910. Or you may also send testimonies to contact@senatorvinceborja.com. So this will conclude this afternoon's public hearing on Bill number 252-38 COR, Bill number 256-38 COR, and Bill number 264-38 COR. And the time now is 4:52 p.m. This hearing is now adjourned. Good evening, everybody, and have blessed Easter week as we come to Easter Sunday. Si Zeus and Bini DC Hamza Todos. We are adjourned.